we're back. Miss Earlene Bohannon, the editor and cheesy chief. No, I'm just kidding. The editor in chief here at the newspaper. She gives me. I see you. I see you looking at me with that sass. I know it. Hey, listen, it's the Earlene and Steven show today. Earlene, why don't you kick us off and tell everybody what we're going to talk about today?
All right, we're going to talk about three things. First thing we're going to talk about is October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We've been writing some things about that throughout the month of October. We're nearing the end of it, so I just kind of want to touch base on that. October is also Domestic Abuse Awareness Month, and we've been writing each week about a different type of abuse that somebody may be dealing with, and so we've been having some discussion about that throughout the month, and again, we're wrapping it up. And the last thing we're going to talk about is this Amendment 2 thing that's going on. It is a hot topic. People have strong opinions.
We are actually in the newspaper, and I know it didn't come out this week, but that's kind of on me because I want to see what the opposition is. But have a young writer that's part of us.
Yep, we have a young writer. Her name is Lucinda.
She's going to give you her perspective.
She is. So next week, she will write a column about what she feels about Amendment 2. She's a sophomore over at Meade County High School.
It's interesting to see their perspective, too.
Well, what's really cool is that she just turned 15 this past week. And so what I think is really cool is her excitement, enthusiasm about being a part of
the process.
You know, learning about the politics and, you know, how many 14 and 15-year-olds do we even know who, I don't even know that they could tell us who the mayor of Brandenburg is. And,
that's probably right.
Yeah, I know. Sadly, I'm sad about that. But she's written that. She's also written a column called "Why I Can't Vote," because for several weeks now, each person who is on staff at the Messenger has been writing a column called "Why I Vote," and everybody has given their reason either why they do or do not vote, and it's been going on for several weeks now. Well, she's taken a stab at it, and of course she's too young to vote, but she is going to tell us what she would do if she could vote.
So, when did you first vote? Do you remember?
Oh, yeah. The first person I voted for was Ronald Reagan.
Oh, my.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
And that was the first time you ever voted?
That was
showed
the
up
first
at the
time
poll?
Yep.
What was that experience like for you back in the day?
Well, it was pretty cool.
Because it was me back in the day, too, just so everybody knows. We're both back in the day folks.
Right.
According to all the kids that we touch.
Exactly. We're
and
both
I didn't mean that really came out wrong.
No, I know.
The lives we're in front of, I know.
We work with a lot of kids, all the way from preschool age all the way through high school. Steve and I both are just kind of magnets for children. We're involved with children in our work area, in our neighborhoods, and
in
things
our life.
like that. Yeah, just lots. But anyway, back then I was not nearly as wise as the youth of today are. You know, there was no internet. We didn't have anything like that. We had we just had the nightly news and the newspaper. And I was living in Elizabethtown, Kentucky, and that was the first time I was old enough to vote. And he was running, and I just knew. You know, I just knew to do that. I think my family had traditionally been Democrats, and then we had slowly begun evolving into Republicans. So I voted for him, and of course that was a Republican vote. And he was just. I will say that I compare every president to him. You know, I level them up to them, and but that was the first time I voted.
Well, I similar, right? I was like, and it was actually a Reagan election as well, same. And I had just turned 18. I remember coming back from voting that I was all excited, you know, just a young man voting, doing my civic duty, and I was an Eagle Scout, so I was even more like you do the, citizenship in the nation, citizenship in the world, citizenship in the community is like a merit badge you had to earn. So I was all excited, and then I get to McDonald's to stop, by my job on the way back, and I was like, I was all proud of my vote sticker and stuff, and then these old men are like, "Did you vote?" And they're all having their coffee in the morning. I said, "Yes, sir." And who'd you vote for? Why'd you vote for him? Of course, I rattled out all my reasons and stuff like that. And then this fellow was like, he had a lot to say, evidently, about what they should do and what they shouldn't do. And I said, "Did you vote, sir?" And he said, "No, I didn't. It's just a waste of my time." And I said, then what? Why are you talking?
Right.
And the other guys just started laughing. Their coffee went everywhere, but it was just funny. So
well, and we get that all the time. I mean,
Right.
so much we get that. People want to give us their opinion, but they don't want to step up to the polls. They don't want to actually do anything. They just want to spout off an opinion. And well, this is how. Well, why do you feel this way? Just because I do. Okay, based on what? Because I do.
Yeah.
Like that's their answer.
No, yep. And I just wish that, to your point, the younger generation has information at their fingertips. I would say that sometimes that's a bad thing and sometimes that's a good thing, especially if you watch news where they interview kids on the street or you see these TikTok videos and they say, who was the first president of the United States? Abraham Lincoln, and you just go, really? Of course, that's not a representation of every area on the planet.
Right.
And as you know, each state has different educational requirements and all that other stuff. But, I am excited about voting season this year. I'm hoping not big, and this is the sad part, right? Everybody comes out because it's a presidential election, but I'm excited about the energy, like Lucinda getting the energy to want to write a story about an amendment, do the research, and do the homework. If we could encourage that in every eligible citizen to do that so that we can be better informed. A lot of politicians would be shaking in their shoes if more people actually showed up to vote and participate in the process.
Yes, and I want to say this right now. The thing about bringing her in and her enthusiasm and that she's writing, and she's written several columns for us. She's an excellent writer, excellent message.
Super happy to have her on team.
Yeah. What I'm most thrilled about is just the fact that she's done this. Like, she came to me. She said, hey, I read that thing you wrote about Amendment 2. And I was like, okay. And she said, can I write one as well? I was like, certainly you can. And she said, because my friends and I have all these concerns and yak about it. And, if her facts are not 100%, let me just go ahead and put this out. She's just turned 15 last week. So, she can't be attacked or anything like that. Instead, she needs to be applauded for the fact that she has an interest in something besides gaming or getting on TikTok or
TikTok.
That tells you how much I pay attention to
all
that.
right. TikTok.
I know.
We're going to start a new
We're going
website.
to start calling it TikTok.
That's it.
But anyway,
that's good.
I'm just saying she's
you're
got
right.
it going on. Right.
And we should encourage more individuals to want to do that.
Right.
I think it's fabulous.
Well, let's back this up just a little bit.
Let's go. I want to go into the first topic.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you take the lead on that because I want to look up something in preparation for
absolutely.
the domestic violence one is going to be a huge one to talk about today. So Earlene, lead us in that.
Okay. So, well, first of all, I'm going to back up even more.
Oh.
So first, I just want to go ahead and touch base on the breast cancer.
Yeah.
So back in July, I wrote a story highlighting a young lady that lives here in Brandenburg. Her name is Eden, and she was only 21 years old. And I interviewed her the day before she went into surgery for a double mastectomy, and so she is probably absolutely the youngest person I've ever known in my life to be diagnosed with such an aggressive breast cancer. And so she's gone through that. At this point, she's lost her hair. She's going through chemotherapy. She's got a couple of best friends who have shaved their head in solidarity for what she's going through. And she just has an amazing story, just an amazing testimony about what she's going through. And, but she's one of absolutely thousands of people that we know who have gone through this. And I feel like it's important that we do have a whole month where we talk about it and we share stories. One of our other writers who, she's probably in her young 20s, her mother went through breast cancer. And so she talked about that. She wrote a story and shared her story. We've got another writer. He wrote about a couple that live in Doe Valley. Her name is Karen Blake. And so she went through breast cancer, took the treatment, had a single mastectomy, and then months later, it was in the other breast. And so she had to go back in and have that surgery again. And so, technology has gone forward so much. We have so much more understanding than we've ever had. And it's just going to get better. Like, we are always going to continue to find out more and more and more. Now we're able to detect the gene that runs through some families that will predecide whether or not that person could possibly have breast cancer. And so people are able to take action before it ever even happens. And so I wanted to just highlight that a little bit and to say, if you have not gotten our stories, they're online. You can stop into the messenger and pick up a copy or anything like that. But just be informed and listen and just be supportive of the people who have that. The second thing, and it is serious, domestic abuse. All I want to say is that it took over not just my life, but my family's life, my children's life. We think that our kids don't know. We think that, oh my gosh, we've had a fight, there's been a little pushing or shoving or whatever, but we think because we've done it in a different part of the house that they don't know. They know. They do know. And we also think that, well, they're going to grow up and they're going to make a different decision. They're going to marry someone who's not going to do it. Not always. Not always. Because as bad as it is, it's comfortable for them. It takes a lot of work to break that generational curse of thinking it's okay, because it's not okay. And so I just abuse. People think, oh, well, we're married, so we should get to do whatever we want to do. False.
No.
You can say, I don't want to, or I'm not comfortable with that.
It just means you don't respect your loved one. I mean, you're not even in the relationship.
Well, so many people think they're entitled, and men and women. There's plenty of women who feel like they're entitled to do things that maybe their husband or their boyfriend doesn't want to do. And so, they pout and they withdraw themselves or whatever. That's not okay either. We talked about emotional abuse, just being told that, called names or told you're not good enough, or the silent treatment. Oh my gosh, the silent treatment is the worst. When you have someone who just stonewalls and they refuse to talk to you at all, or leave the house in the middle of an argument.
Yep.
None of us need
Matt,
to
it
do
is
any
good.
People just don't want to do that when they're in the middle of a fight. I mean, and there's fights. I mean, Eddie and I, we'll go at it every once in a while. We call it the Eddie and Earlene show. And and
Okay.
and we have those, but we both have learned from previous relationships what looks healthy and what doesn't look healthy. And we both have also received help to learn how to emotionally regulate ourselves. So those two subjects, if you haven't read anything about that in the Messenger this month, take the time to look those up. Just read them. If you've got something to say to us, let us know. We want on it right now.
Yeah, we're good. It had booted us, lost a connection. Nope, and it did it again. Wow.
So we're having a lot of work done outside the building today.
Yeah.
That could have something to do with it.
I have no idea. I'll blame it on that for sure.
Okay.
So give me a second here. The live video is ended and it's doing this thing. I don't know why it's doing it. It's streaming and we're back up.
Okay, are we on?
We're back up. It's 8 seconds. It's really stupid. There's going to be like 3 videos now.
We're sorry, people. We're sorry.
I'll reload the live one when it's all, or the recorded one, so just keep going. You're good.
Okay. All right, super. So anyway, both of those we've talked about. It's been love my wrinkles.